know it's getting adopted and it's going to increase. And it's not just about the containers itself, but then it becomes about the observability of them and the security of them. So when I go into the space here where we kind of lump some of the observability players like an Elastic, Datadog, Dynatrace, Splunk, this is an area where we've just been fascinated with because there's such a convergence of these players. Splunk obviously being the most pervasive of all of them. They have the largest market share of pervasion in our survey, but they're also known largely just as a pure logging play and largely for on-prem. And as we move more towards the cloud and more towards containers or even serverless architectures, you know, we're seeing a little bit more of like the Datadogs and the New Relics really kind of shine in those areas. So I guess the reason I was asking about how your cloud and container journey is what are you doing to make sure that you can observe these ecosystems?
Well, actually, I'm seeing on here you have Elastic. That's what we've used a combination of, well, not a combination with Splunk, and now we're starting to move towards the Elastic and Grafana combination there. But we haven't really, in the unit I'm in, at least started using any of those other ones. So Splunk is where we've been, but we're starting to move things to Elastic. And you know, the one thing about Elastic versus Splunk is, you know, Elastic is a kind of a self-serve type model, if you want to call it that, where Splunk is a fully fledged and more expensive in some cases to have that technical support and support from the vendor. So we've been moving more towards Elastic and Grafana from not from that reason only, but that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, it's really resonates with what we've seen in the work we've done for quite some time. I'm going to go to this drill down real quickly, where we can break down each of the vendors and why people are using them. But I'm going to go quickly. If you look at all the different aspects, right? If it's application monitoring, or if it's infrastructure or database monitoring, each of them seem to have a little bit of a specialty here. But what we've been seeing from your standpoint is exactly the same. There's been a lot of movement towards Elastic, towards that open source, with some of their, you know, professional services wrapped around it, and a movement away from Splunk simply due to their kind of, I guess, their older pricing model where you can't really scale up and scale down with ingestion. Yeah. Does that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been as we're moving to Elastic right now on our team, we started slow and small. Right? Because there's a lot of other work going on. It's like, here's another thing to throw at the group and learn. And so we said, let's just start small with a few applications, a couple servers, and then we'll grow it as necessary. And at the same time, you know, again, every company is different. For us is, and every business unit within a company is different. We don't have a lot of people to jump on all these different technologies. So it's just, let's start small. Somebody in the group becomes, you know, the guinea pig, for lack of a better word, and learns it and becomes the expert in it. And then we'll start to scale up, as opposed to having this big thing come down and no one knows how to use it, and you never get, you know, you don't leverage all the technology and all the features behind it right away.
Yeah, it's great. And also, if you look at this, you know, pricing is a good reason. They call it as a strength. Also, their dashboarding and alerting aspects. So Elastic, a lot of times, and New Relic, I hear it as well, offers more of a full stack observability, whereas some of the other ones might just be more specific to logging or APM. And then I'll just quickly, before we move on, just juxtapose this with Splunk. Pricing for them, only 10% cited as a strength and 50% cited as, you know, as a weakness. So sometimes the story is just right there in front of you, right? This seems to be the story.
Yeah, yeah, and even you know, and I'll be honest, I don't know about Splunk from this perspective, but we've say that we have some tech savvy users in our group and I don't mean IT people, I mean operations people who are monitoring marketing programs, and they, you know, with some simple training or whatever, can have set up their own monitoring for their marketing campaigns, and that's another thing that is worthwhile for us. That way, we don't have to take away from an IT person's time to set up some basic and semi-basic graphs and charts and feedback.
Yeah, and also sort of that freemium sandbox, you know, not that an enterprise is going to run with, you know, freemium the whole way, but people can just go ahead and download, you know, a New Relic or an Elastic and just start playing with it and start using
Yep.
it day one. And I've heard a lot of feedback that their out-of-box integrations are helpful as well. So, you know, you don't need to have a whole custom SI integrator team come in and make it work for you. It's something that you could just kind of pick up and start
Exactly.
using.